Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hope you all fine. Dear student, this lecture is for grade 10, boys and girls both wings, subject chemistry. And in this lecture, we will discuss the remaining topics of chapter number 14, that is atmosphere. This is my 26th lecture, and I am your lecturer, Mrs. Saira Jamal. The topic which I'm going to discuss about is air pollutants. What are pollutants? First of all, you must know what are pollutants. So anything that is in the air, water or soil which has a harmful effect on some part of the environment is called pollutant. Like they have harmful effect. These substances, these things have a harmful effect on the environment, so that's why they are called pollutants. There are two types of pollutants. First one is primary pollutants and second one secondary pollutants. What are primary pollutants? Primary pollutants are directly emitted by the source. Primary pollutants are directly emitted by the source, like suppose burning of fossil fuel is a source, like the automobiles engine which emit harmful gases, they are the sources. Volcanoes are the sources. So these are the important sources from which the gases or pollutants emit out, and they are called primary pollutants. Secondary pollutants are produced by the reactions between the primary pollutants and other molecules. The primary pollutant and other molecules, they react together and then they form secondary pollutants. Pollutants are things like the industrial waste, herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, dust particles, smoke, and carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, and lead containing paints. All these are the pollutants and their sources. These things have a negative impact on the environment, as I told you that they show harmful effect on living organism or on an environment. Pollutants damage the environment, health, and quality of life. You can see in this image primary pollutants like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitric oxide, which is also called nitrogen monoxide, and nitrogen dioxide, most hydrocarbons, and most suspended particles like the dust particles, they are called primary pollutants. And what are the sources of these primary pollutants? Like you can see that the natural sources like the like petrol, coal, natural gas, their burning produces these primary pollutants. Like factories or industries, the automobiles exhausts, and even at our home we use the natural gas which we burn, and then it produces these harmful gases. And volcanic eruption is another source of the primary pollutant. Then these primary pollutants react with other substances, like maybe with the oxygen or with water, like after oxidation or reaction with water, these primary pollutants are converted into the secondary pollutants. And what are some of the examples of secondary pollutants? Nitric acid, sulfur trioxide, which is produced after the oxidation of sulfur dioxide, nitric acid produced from the nitrogen dioxide when react with water, sulfuric acid when sulfur dioxide react with water, hydrogen peroxide and ozone, some most of the nitrates and sulfates, all are called secondary pollutants because they are produced or they are formed from the primary pollutants when they react with some other reactant or with some other molecules. Some important pollutants. The first one, as I told you, sulfur dioxide, sulfur oxides. which is an example of primary pollutant. SOX, it shows that these oxides of sulfur, they may be sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide, because both are the pollutants. Sulfur dioxide is primary pollutant and sulfur trioxide is a secondary pollutant. We might observe that the color of silk clothes fades away if left in open air for a week or so. What due to it is why the color of the silk clothes fade away? The reason is that in the air, sulfur dioxide is converted into sulfur trioxide. It means oxidation of sulfur dioxide will produce sulfur trioxide, and that sulfur trioxide then react with the silk cloth, and it causes silk cloth and the color on the silk cloth, and then fading the silk clothes or changing the color of the silk cloth. And it also causes acid rain. Sulfur trioxide, and when react with water, will form sulfuric acid, which make the rain highly acidic. Sulfur dioxide, after oxidation or after reaction with oxygen, will form sulfur trioxide, and this sulfur trioxide is actually responsible for fading the color of silk cloth and also producing secondary pollutant like sulfur trioxide and sulfuric acid. Both are secondary pollutants. So those secondary pollutants then causes the acid rain. Sulfur dioxide is readily absorbed in the respiratory system, being powerful irritant. It aggravates the symptoms of people who suffer from asthma, emphysema, asthma, you know that, difficulty in breathing, emphysema when alveoli of the lungs damage, and some other lung diseases. So those people who already suffer from these diseases, and if they inhale sulfur dioxide, they will aggravate the symptom, means they will increase those problems, and then the person will, even if it is the exposure is severe, it may cause the death of the person. The next pollutant is carbon monoxide. You know that when we burn piece of wood or any other organic material, maybe petrol, natural gas, or coal, when we burn them, mainly two type of gases produces, and those two type of gases are carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. I told you actually this is a combustion process in which hydrocarbons are burned in the presence of oxygen, and then they will produce carbon dioxide, water, and a large amount of heat will release. So as this is a combustion process, so you can see that the two type of gases may produce. By the incomplete combustion, carbon monoxide will produce, and after the complete combustion of those hydrocarbons, carbon dioxide will produce. Incomplete combustion takes place when there is limited supply of oxygen, and complete combustion takes place when oxygen is present or supply in excess. Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. It causes headache and dizziness when inhaled for a long time. It may cause death, and it is soluble in water. Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas, and it may cause the death of the person if inhaled for a long time. So as I told you that the first reaction is incomplete combustion, where carbon react with oxygen, limited oxygen, less oxygen is present, it will give carbon monoxide. But if we burn coal in excess of oxygen, then the product will be carbon dioxide. This is limited supply when oxygen is in less percentage, and the second reaction is in excess supply of oxygen, which will give carbon dioxide. Dear students, you know that carbon dioxide is not poisonous gas, it is not an air pollutant. But the problem is that as its concentration increases day by day, so actually this carbon dioxide causes global warming. It increases the temperature of the earth. So although it is not poisonous gas, although it is not a direct pollutant, rather, plant consume carbon dioxide in photosynthesis and produce oxygen. Like carbon dioxide, we use it and then produce oxygen, which is important for us. It is also not poisonous. However, it causes global warming. The only problem is that due to its increasing concentration day by day, It causes global warming. Global warming means increase the temperature of the globe of the earth. Next pollutant is nitrogen oxides, oxides of nitrogen. Again, NOx, NOx mean that these oxide may be nitrogen dioxide or nitrogen monoxide, which is also called nitric oxide. The important oxides of nitrogen that cause air pollution are nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. Collectively, they are represented as NOx. NOx means both, it may be mono or dioxide. Nitric oxide is a colorless and odorless gas. It is heavier than air and sparingly soluble in water. Nitrogen dioxide is a reddish brown gas. Nitrogen monoxide is colorless, which is also called nitric oxide and having no smell. But the nitrogen dioxide is a reddish brown gas and it has pungent odor, irritating odor. It dissolves readily in water. It dissolves sparingly, little soluble in water. But it dissolves readily means completely soluble in water. Both these oxides are highly toxic gases. Both gases are toxic. They damage lungs, causes headache and cough. The fourth pollutant is methane. Methane is produced when dead plants materials decay in the absence of it, because actually methane is present in natural gas, and you know natural gas is you can see natural product produced in under the earth crust, because I told you that the dead and decay of animals and plants when they are buried under the soil, and then due to high temperature and high pressure after millions of years, they are converted into the fossil fuels. Those fossil fuels I told you are petrol, coal and natural gas. So as methane is present in a higher percentage in natural gas, so methane is produced because it is a fossil fuel. It is produced from the decay of the fossil, and definitely reaction takes place in the absence of air. It is released in the form in the air from marshes, swamps, and rice paddy fields. As a result of photochemical reactions in the air, methane forms irritating and toxic compounds. So methane, as it forms irritating and toxic compounds, so it is a pollutant. Methane is excellent heat absorber, and like carbon dioxide, methane also causes global warming. The fifth pollutant is chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. They are also called CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons are fully or partially halogenated alkanes. As I told you, derivative I told you when hydrogen of an alkane is substituted by any halogen, then it is called haloalkane. So same like haloalkane chlorofluorocarbons, you can also call them alkyl halides, and they are produced by substituting hydrogen of the alkanes by these halogens. So chlorofluorocarbons, as from the name indicated, they contain carbon, hydrogen, chlorine, and fluorine. Chlorofluorocarbons are a group of chemically unreactive compounds on, like you can say, on Earth. These are unreactive compounds that have been widely used as a solvent, and we use chlorofluorocarbons as a solvent. But as I told you, on the troposphere, they are chemically unreactive and actually are the same like carbon dioxide and methane. Chlorofluorocarbon, they also trap heat in the atmosphere and causes global warming. As I told you, on Earth, they are unreactive. So they go to the atmosphere, and then in atmosphere they causes they trap the heat and causes global warming. They have been attacking the ozone layer in the stratosphere very badly for the last 3 decades. And from the troposphere, as I told you, they are unreactive, and they go to the second layer of the atmosphere, that is to the stratosphere. And then at stratosphere, you know that ozone is present 10 parts per million. So these chlorofluorocarbons react with the ozone and then causes ozone depletion. So there are two harmful effects of chlorofluorocarbon. The first one is in the first layer, they trap the heat and causes global warming. And the second effect is that they in stratosphere they attack the ozone molecule and causes the depletion of the ozone layer. Chlorofluorocarbons may also cause skin allergy, damage to liver, kidneys, and nervous system. The aerosol spray is the main example of chlorofluorocarbons because these aerosol sprays contain chlorofluorocarbons in it. I told you that the chlorofluorocarbon we use as a solvent. The sixth pollutant is lead compounds. Lead particles in the air come mainly due to the combustion of leaded petrol, because you know that lead is added in petrol or any fuel which is used in motor vehicles. There may be diesel, petrol, or even like those fuel. They contain lead in it, and the lead can also come from the paint, special type of paints which contain lead in it. So we call them lead-based paints. These are the two sources of the lead compounds. Lead and its compounds in the air affect the brain development in human beings, especially among children. So great exposure to lead and lead compounds will affect the development of brain of the children. At high level, it can be fatal. It can cause many severe problems. So you can see here, as I told you, that many paints contain lead in it. They are called lead paints. And nowadays, due to the pollution caused by the leaded paints, they are now banned in most of the countries. The seventh pollutant is ozone. Ozone is a light blue gas and it has an unpleasant odor. In the troposphere, like in the first layer of the atmosphere, ozone causes breathing difficulties, asthma, and eye irritation. In the stratosphere, however, it is helpful. It protects the Earth from the harmful radiation coming from the sun, like it filters the ultraviolet radiation which come from the sun. Ozone is produced when electrical discharges pass through oxygen in the air. We can feel its presence near photocopier machine. You can feel a bad smell and unpleasant smell near the photocopier machine, behind the television set, behind the microwave oven, and other electrical equipment like the vacuum cleaner, the ACs. That unpleasant and bad odor is due to the production of the ozone gas, which is produced mostly from the electrical appliances. Let us take a quick review of the air pollutants. Air pollutants are oxides of sulfur, and oxide of sulfur may be sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Sulfur dioxide, I told you, is primary pollutant, while sulfur trioxide and sulfuric acid are the secondary pollutant because they are made up of, or they are formed from the oxidation of sulfur dioxide to give sulfur trioxide. Then oxides of nitrogen, they are nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. So nitric oxide is the primary pollutant, and oxidation of nitric oxide will give secondary pollutant like nitrogen dioxide and nitric acid. When nitrogen dioxide react with other molecules like water, will give nitric acid. Lead compounds, maybe lead monoxide or dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, methane, and carbon monoxide. They are the important air pollutants. Ozone is not mentioned here. Ozone is also one of the pollutants. What are the sources of these pollutants? From where these pollutants they come into the atmosphere? So there are two types of sources, or there are two sources of these pollutants. The first source is natural sources. Natural sources mean like volcanic eruption, termites and cows, and forest fire, dust storms. So many natural processes such as forest fires or dust storms release smoke and dust particles into the air. Volcanoes emit clouds of dust and poisonous gases along with ash. Termites and cows, you know that they use wood or plants for their eating, and they also releases large amount of methane in air. So considerable electrical discharges in the atmosphere produce nitrogen oxide. Like the nitrogen which is present in air, we know that nitrogen gas, oxygen gases, they are present in air, but they will react together only when there is an electrical discharge. Electrical discharge means when there is an thunder or electrical spark in the in the atmosphere or on the sky, then nitrogen will react with oxygen and will form oxides of nitrogen. Normally, they remain in nitrogen gas form and oxygen gas form. Then the second sources of pollutants are human activities. Due to the human activities, most of the air pollution is the result of burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuel, I told you, coal, petrol, natural gas. They are called fossil fuel because they are made up from the dead and remains of animals and plants which are buried under the soil, and after millions of years due to high temperature and pressure and in the absence of air, they are converted into fossil fuels. As they are made up from fossils of animals and plants, so they are called fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, and natural gas. Nearly half of the air pollution comes from automobiles, like from cars and other motor vehicles, because their exhaust, engine exhaust, releases many poisonous gases into the atmosphere. Factories and power plants like which are producing electricity that burn coal or oil, they releases poisonous gases in the air. Burning fossil fuel and incineration. Incineration is burning of the trash or garbage. When they burn that large amount of garbage or trash to we can say that a large amount of trash or garbage, they are burned in an underground, you can say they dig a big you can say a big well, and then they put all the garbage or trashes in that well, and then they burn those trashes. And definitely by burning those trashes or garbages produces many harmful gases which come to the atmosphere or add in the atmosphere. Carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, which may be monoxide or dioxide, and sulfur oxide like sulfur dioxide or trioxide are those harmful or poisonous gases which are produced by these human activities. Carbon, when react with oxygen, will form carbon monoxide. Again, the thing is in limited supply of oxygen. Sulfur in limited supply of oxygen will form sulfur dioxide. Nitrogen in limited supply will form nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, when limited supply of oxygen, will form nitrogen dioxide. So all these are the oxides of sulfur, nitrogen, and carbon, which are pollutant. They cause many problems for problems for living beings or living things. Chlorofluorocarbons, they have been widely used as a solvent for cleaning electronic circuit boards. They can use as a refrigerant in fridges and in air conditioning unit, as a propellant in aerosol sprays. I told you the aerosol spray like air freshener or hand sprays or deodorants or spray paints all contain chlorofluorocarbon as a solvent. And even all the electrical appliances like refrigerator and air conditioner and electronic circuit boards, all are electrical appliances and they are the main sources of chlorofluorocarbons. The such products are not environment friendly during manufacture, in use, and after disposal. These compounds escape into the air. Lead particles, I told you, they may come from leaded petrol or from the lead-based paints. Ozone, again, I told you, is a discharge from electrical appliances, and you can feel the smell, unpleasant smell in a photocopier machine, television set, microwave oven, and other electrical equipments. Uh, the effect produced by air pollutants, what are their effect and sources and physical properties of air pollutant? The first air pollutant is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is colorless, odorless, and it is a poisonous gas. Sources are incomplete burning of wood, fuel, and vehicle exhaust, like vehicle exhaust meaning the gases which are produced by the automobiles. Exposure to carbon monoxide, or if we inhale more carbon monoxide, it may cause headache, brain damage, and even death. If a great exposure to carbon monoxide or a great amount of inhalation of carbon monoxide may cause death of the person. Second is sulfur dioxide. It is a colorless gas with unpleasant and irritating odor, produced by power station and industries which use fossil fuels. And sulfur dioxide causes breathing difficulties, bronchitis, disease of the bronchi of the lungs, emphysema. I told you when the alveoli are of the lungs are damaged, and then ultimately may cause lung cancer. Acid rain and greenhouse effect are also some of the problems caused by sulfur dioxide. Then oxides of nitrogen, nitrogen monoxide, which is also called nitric oxide or nitrogen dioxide. Nitric oxide is colorless, odorless gas, and it is soluble in water. But nitrogen dioxide is a reddish brown gas with pungent, irritating odor, and it is also soluble in water. But both these gases, nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide, are highly toxic gases, and the sources are exhaust fumes of motor vehicles, and then from the power stations and industries, and also using fossil fuels, burning of fossil fuels. They may cause cough, headache, lung diseases, acid rain, and greenhouse effect, or also called global warming. Chlorofluorocarbons are colorless gases, and I told you from aerosol sprays, from foam, from refrigerator, air conditioning system are the main sources of chlorofluorocarbon, and they causes greenhouse effect, which is also called global warming, and also as I told you, they causes the ozone depletion, which is also called thinning of ozone layer or ozone depletion. Lead compounds, they are poisonous particles and they are come from the exhaust fume because leaded petrol and some lead-based paints. They cause brain damage and forest decline. So this was all about pollutants, their sources, their causes and types of pollutants. I hope you understand this lecture. The remaining topics, inshallah, we will discuss in our next lecture. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.